I guess let's start with the college world in relation to what we're seeing in the NFL. We're all Are you thinking Fernando Mendoza, who plays tonight, is going to be the first overall pick? The Raiders are going to make him their next quarterback. You hearing that right now?
I think the Raiders will take a quarterback first overall.
Ah.
I think that there are two quarterbacks that are playing tonight that would be in the running. Now, I don't know for sure whether or not Dante Moore is even going to come out, right? Like, because there's obviously been quite a groundswell that Uncle Phil there up in Eugene could make it worth Dante Moore's while to spend another year there. I also know, and I don't follow this stuff as closely, obviously, as NFL, but it does seem like Oregon's at least had, their foot in the recruitment of some quarterbacks through the portal, which might indicate that they know something. So it'll be interesting to see the way that plays out. But the early indications I've gotten is that those two kids are both in the running for the first overall pick. It's way too early, as you know, Rich. Like, I make a million calls when it comes to this stuff, and I'm not close to knowing exactly how every NFL team views these two. But the early indications I've had are that both would have a shot at going first overall.
So this could be quarterback matchup tonight in Atlanta. The first two names off the board in Pittsburgh next April is what you're saying.
I certainly think that's in play. Again, like you don't know. I mean, the difference between 1 and 10, 1 and 15, where a kid is drafted. A lot of times there can be circumstances that can be involved with that and everything else. And so, until I make all the phone calls I need to make ahead of the draft, and we're talking on April 15th, I don't know that I'd say I feel fully comfortable, because I don't think either of these guys are like generational. Like, the early indications I've gotten is like if you plug these guys into the 24 class, I don't know that either of them would be higher than the fourth quarterback taken.
Really? Wow.
That doesn't mean they can't go first overall, as we know.
Sure.
But like, I don't know that I don't think these two rise to the level of Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck. Absolutely, no question about it. Going first overall. I think we knew on Joe Burrow, right, at this point in the calendar in 2020.
Right.
I don't know that the NFL is that sure on either of these guys. Now, again, like, both these guys sort of came out of nowhere this year. So I think there is a process of catching up on them too. Like, where, with Trevor Lawrence, even if they hadn't studied him in depth yet, like they did have his freshman and sophomore years, where Dante Moore was a backup last year at Oregon, and Fernando Mendoza was a Cal. And so, like, I do think that there's a process of even NFL people catching up and truly studying them, which is a lot different than watching them on TV or doing a school call.
And then, of course, last night's quarterbacks, Carson Beck is out of eligibility, right, Albert? Like, he
has to be. I saw he was in the same recruiting class as
Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. That's how long he's been at it, man.
Right.
And two of those three guys are starting playoff games this weekend for their respective franchises.
Yeah, two of those three guys are coming up for their fifth-year option this year. Like, those teams have to make decisions on the fifth-year option.
Well, I guess if I'm not mistaken, while you were in the waiting room of our Zoom, Albert, I think Trinidad Chambliss was denied his sixth-year option. So
right.
What are I know, again, we haven't studied this yet, and I have reached out to some of my colleagues in the talent evaluation world watching Chambliss play the last 2 weeks, saying, wow, he's got some ability, but I guess he's going to be in the mix for next year too. He's been terrific. He's been
great. I mean, I honestly, like, even Rich, like those last two throws he made to give them a chance at the end.
Unreal.
To get them to the, I mean, what was it, from like the 25 to the Ole Miss 35 in 2 plays with 1 timeout?
Right.
I thought that was really impressive, to at least give Ole Miss like a fighting chance at somebody going up and making a miracle play in the end zone. So I think the kid's got moxie, that's for sure. I think we can say he's a winner. He was a huge winner, at Ferris State, which no one was paying. He wasn't even supposed to be the Ole Miss starter, So, like, I think the kid's got a lot going for him. I'd say he probably also has a good head on his shoulders, knowing, like, hey, if I go back to Ole Miss, I could do a little bit more in the way of development. And, so I think even like the intention to go back for a year is is maybe a check mark for maturity for him. And I'll be interested to see what happens. I think the biggest question, just looking at him play, is probably size. But as far as moxie, mobility, accuracy, you see those things, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, these last 2 games, he's been absolutely electric. No question about it.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.